Hey everybody, welcome to Alpha Flight. Monday, it is like this really cloudy, sort of sleepy day in Las Vegas, and I just don't want to do anything. But, we're embarking here on the beginning of the Bill Mantlo era of Alpha Flight, so I got to get up and I got to get excited. It's time to look at this book. Alpha Flight, we are looking at The Incredible Hulk, Sasquatch looming in the background. Is that a Sasquatch I see before me? The remnants of Alpha Flight trashed on the ground here. We got a Mignola and Wyachek cover. This is going to be good. Now, if you will recall, there was an interesting change of guard with the former creative team of Alpha Flight transferring to the Hulk, and the creative team on the Hulk transferring over to Alpha Flight. And so there's also a bit of a crossover between the characters. Now, there is a little tie-in between Sasquatch and the Hulk, namely that, and this is how it was initially believed, that Walter Lankowski, the Sasquatch, gained his powers because he was trying to duplicate, in a laboratory setting, the gamma burst that created the Incredible Hulk. To some degree, what they did is they took the origin story of the Hulk from the TV series and applied it to Lankowski. Now, what we would ultimately discover is that, in fact, what Lankowski had done was open a doorway for one of the great beasts to enter and possess his body. And that's why he was able to become the Sasquatch, and it's why he started losing control of his Sasquatch form over time. That form ultimately was destroyed. Walter Lankowski's spirit was put inside this box robot, but the creator of that robot, Roger Box, with the assistance of a fella named Mr. Jeffries, created a machine to try to find a new body that could be permanent for Walter Lankowski. They looked into this dimensional nexus and they found this large humanoid form that appeared to be mindless. They sent Lankowski's spirit into this dimensional nexus to take this body. Now, this was be in an issue of Incredible Hulk, where he discovers that it was the Hulk that he was taking possession of, that Banner's mind was still in it. And even though Banner wanted to end it all, Lankowski could not do that to another human being. And he basically sacrificed himself. His spirit appeared to fade away. The Hulk, still wild, is pulled out of the dimensional nexus. And, well, let's see what happens. I know that's one heck of a opening. And so let's take a look here. Cut Bait and Run. Brought to you by Bill Mantlo, writer, Mike Mignola, and Jerry Teleok, artists, Jim Novak, letterer, Bob Sharon, colorist, Carl Potts, editor, Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. That's not Walter Lankowski. We've reeled in. It's the Hulk. Yah! Scrack, as the Hulk punches a hole through the box armor. Hulk will smash Metal Man for dragging Hulk here. Yeah, that's how the Hulk does stuff. Ooh, here's Mask. That was a cool toy line. Wasn't that into the cartoon, but respected some of the design on the toys. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of blurriness. So let's see if we can raise the camera a little bit up. Sometimes that helps it maintain focus. Okay, so the Hulk is here. He's going to war with this box robot form, which is obviously at the moment occupied by Roger Box, who can phase into metal and specifically into this machine and control it. And so we once again, we sort of get the splash page. That's the upper portion. And then we get the stuff down here. So Hulk has hurt Metal Man, made Metal Man scream. You smashed your fist through my chest. No, through the robot's chest. I've got to remember that I'm just mentally and molecularly merged with the box robot. Not really a part of it. I can't be harmed when Box is damaged. Can I? Can I? So Roger Box is new to the whole superhero thing. And this is the first real combat action maybe he's seen, and he's not necessarily handling it all that well. Mr. Jeffries, you helped Roger Box to build the box robot. Can you reassure him before he starts to panic? Reassure? Listen, Puck. I told Roger that he ran a risk of becoming one with the robot each time he phased himself inside the box. I was afraid that might be the case. Now Roger's... Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing the wrong accent for Puck. I'm sorry. I was afraid that might be the case. Now Roger's fear that he may not be able to phase out of the damaged robot alive has immobilized him. Will somebody please tell me what's happening? Box was fishing for a body for my Walter to inhabit. Is Walter inside that Hulk? Or is he gone? Okay, so that has summed it up rather nicely. You gotta love Puck going straight into action against the Hulk. Ah, Aurora, it's for you my heart fears most, for the emergence of the Hulk suggests you have lost your lover, Walter Lankowski, forever. Box, phase out of the robot now, but I don't know if I should, if I can. You see, there's a hole in my chest where my heart ought to be. In shock, the mass of metal that is Box starts to topple towards the equally stunned Aurora. The robot easily weighs several tons. It is only the swiftness of North Star that keeps Aurora from harm. North Star, of course, is Aurora's brother. And he has issues, too. And is probably happy that Walter Lankowski is gone, if we're completely honest. Now, one thing you'll notice on this art, if you are a Mignola fan from way back, of Hellboy and those things, this doesn't look like that art. And he had not developed quite that style yet. So this is sort of an earlier Mignola. I think you can see some elements of that style here, but not quite there yet. All right, so basically Alpha is engaged with the Hulk, and it is not going particularly well. Jeffries is trying to calm down Box. Aurora's freaking out because she thinks Walter Lankowski is gone for good. And as usual, when the team is falling apart, the one guy you can actually trust to get in there and get the job done, and we saw this in the Marvel team-up issue they had with Spider-Man, is Puck. But unfortunately, Puck is absolutely no match for the Hulk. And Hulk manages to grab a hold of him. And he throws him. Now, fortunately for Puck, he is quite the acrobat. And so he does manage to survive that throw and starts bouncing around. He's basically trying to keep the Hulk busy, while the rest of Alpha gets it together. At this point, Heather shows up. Puck, stay back, he said. Since the death of my husband Guardian, I'm supposed to have assumed the leadership of Alpha Flight, still without any special superpower or super skill of my own. Maybe her super skill could be solving the Oreo maze. All I can do is implore my people to act together as a team. Shaman, if ever Alpha Flight needed your Sarsi mysticism, we need it now. I hear you, Heather McNeil Hudson. And if I could help, I would. But my power is founded on my faith that I am worthy to wield the magic of my ancestors. So what's going on with Shaman? Well, he almost lost his daughter. Felt as though he broke another promise to her, which in a way he did, but not entirely. Just like before, it wasn't really his fault that things didn't go well. And so he believes at least, he has no power to help stop the Hulk. So the Hulk's going on the typical Hulk rampage, and he starts to tear down the building they're in. And you could see it's collapsing, and Puck is caught underneath the debris. At this point, Hulk is free of where he was. Hulk is free. Puny humans could not trap Hulk, could not kill Hulk. But Hulk is in city Hulk has never seen before. Hulk does not want to be here. Hulk must find desert. Hulk must go home. Or Hulk will smash city until city becomes like Hulk's desert home. Listen, the kid loves New Mexico. He's homesick, and can you really blame him? It's a beautiful place. So now Heather, showing she's got some guts, jumps on the Hulk as well. And once again, no superpowers. So not exactly somebody who can take on the Incredible Hulk. And she yells for North Star to help. But North Star is with his sister. They have a very interesting relationship, and it has been extremely strained because of North Star rejecting Walter Lankowski, wanting to protect his sister, but also jealous of her love and attention. And so here we see really a nice scene between the two that maybe shows a little bit like they're coming back together as siblings. So that's nice. City is too tiny for Hulk. Hulk needs room to move, to feel free. Hulk must return to emptiness of desert where Hulk was born. Now. And so Hulk jumps, propelling himself heavenward, as they say. And this knocks Heather, off of his back. The Hulk is gone. He shrugged us off as if we were less than nothing and leapt away. Where, eh? And now Heather's doing the Velma routine with her glasses down there on the ground. He said he wanted to go back to the deserts. I guess to the American Southwest, where he was born in the explosion of the Gamma Bomb blast that transformed Bruce Banner into the Hulk. I suppose that eliminates any lingering hope that it might be Walter Lankowski inside that howling horror. Yes, and when the Hulk sees only sea and our city below him, he may decide to take his rage out on Vancouver. You are team leader, Heather. What do we do now? Oof. Okay. Quite an opening, and I think very well illustrated. It's chaotic. You get a sense of the power of the Hulk. Obviously, they've been working on the Hulk comics, so they know what they're doing. And with the Hulk ultimately leaving, that's going to come into John Byrne's run on the monster. The only thing we can do, Puck, pick up the pieces and try again. Boy, that is an ongoing theme of Alpha Flight. And so, of course, North Star, at this moment of tension, strangely decides to be a jerk. Surely you jest, Heather Hudson. If the loss of our three mightiest members wasn't enough to convince you of the absurdity of our remaining a team, then the ease with which the Hulk plowed through those that remained should have been sufficient. Maybe if you and Aurora hadn't been so caught up in your own grief, North Star, we might have had a chance. Maybe, might have, all uncertainties. But the one immutable absolute truth is that Alpha Flight is finished. My brother speaks only for himself, as usual, Heather. That Hulk killed my Walter, our Walter, and I am determined to have vengeance. Aurora's talking from grief and anger. We don't know what happened at the crossroads between Walter Lankowski and the Hulk, and perhaps we never will. But if letting Aurora and the others believe that the Hulk slew our teammate and friend will galvanize Alpha Flight into acting like a team again, Fox, I'm working on him, Mrs. Hudson. So she's thinking, well, maybe we'll let him believe that he killed Walter Lankowski, which, by the way, that's never a good idea. You cannot use lies as a foundation, ultimately, for anything. So Mr. Jeffries can sort of meld metal with his mind, his hands. He can shape it as he wants to. And so he's recreating, sort of fixing the Box robot. Now, this is Walter Box, who does not have legs and, is in a wheelchair. And so he unphases from the robot. And, this is kind of a crazy moment for him. He's never been through anything quite like that before. And so it really scared him, what happened. That's good. That's good storytelling. Dealing with, well, that would be scary if you were new to this kind of thing. I mean, the last thing you want to do on your first real outing, is go up against the incredible freaking Hulk. So he decides, though, no, I'm going for it. Like I'm in, and so he jumps back in. After all, what's life without risk? I have as much to avenge as does Aurora. If she remains in Alpha Flight, then so will I. That's North Star. That accounts for all of us who are left, except Shaman. Michael, my loss of confidence in the source of my mystic powers has left me with nothing to offer your team, Heather. Self-pity? From Dr. Michael to Youngman? Don't you remember that it was only when you stopped feeling sorry for yourself that you found your faith and became Shaman? Puck, I'm team leader. Let me. Yeah, that's always a question. Should Puck be the team leader? I don't know. Michael, I'm no psychiatrist, but I understand what's happened inside you. You placed your daughter Elizabeth in danger and then couldn't protect her, and now you're afraid of failing Alpha Flight. But if you let your fear of failure paralyze you, I know that, Heather, in my mind, but it is my heart that has lost its courage. All right, we'll have to stop the Hulk without you. Well, Alpha Flight, let's go. So, off goes Alpha Flight to try to deal with the Incredible Hulk, leaving, I believe, Mr. Jeffries behind for now. So they were in Roger Bach's Vancouver laboratory. Just so everybody knows. Now they're going to have a different headquarters at some point here. This is an awesome ad for the 1985-86 NBC Saturday mornings. Snorks, Adventures of the Gummy Bears, Smurfs, Punky Brewster, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Kid Video, Mr. T, Spider-Man and his amazing friends, plus One to Grow On. And that's One to Grow On. I remember this stuff pretty well. I know I watched, let's see, what was I? I was like 13 at this point. So I was getting out of cartoons, but I do remember watching Spider-Man and his amazing friends. For sure. I don't know if I remember any of the rest, really watching any of these other ones. Okay, whoops. Did we? Yeah, we lost a page there. Okay. So, Shaman is basically just in really bad shape. Alpha Flight needs the mystic might of my medicine pouch, power which is denied me now. But I still possess a shaman's knowledge, and having once been in harmony with the ancient forces of my ancestral land, perhaps I can call upon the power of another who is similarly attuned. And so he sends out a message to Snowbird. So there he is. So yes, indeed, Hulk is in the heart of Vancouver, tearing things apart, as he is wont to do. The provincial police move in. It is funny to think about how in the Marvel universe, local police departments, especially in big cities, have to have some pretty amazing hardware. We've kind of seen that actually happening in real life. And not necessarily in a good way, but in the Marvel universe, it makes sense because there's always the possibility that the Hulk or some other super being is going to show up and start destroying everybody. Love this image here. That's Marvel 101. That the shot, the way it's staged, the guy in the foreground, you see that kind of an image from Kirby. You see it from just a ton of different artists over the years in Marvel. There are certain things like that that are part of the soul of the Marvel universe or the DC universe that are repeated over and over again through different creators that lend a sort of reality to it all. So, they're having trouble, obviously, taking down the Hulk. So in comes Alpha Flight. And Heather's pretty happy. Despite defeat and despair, and the losses we've suffered, Alpha Flight is a team at last. Now they're going to have some issues going forward, of course, but it is nice to see them slowly developing. So they go into combat with the Hulk. This time they're actually all in on it. Box is going toe-to-toe with the Hulk, but of course going toe-to-toe with the Hulk is not easy, even when you're a big metal robot. He's slamming him here, but then Hulk picks him up. Maybe he's going to do that wrestling thing from old movies where you twirl him around and then throw him down. Do they do that still in like, pro wrestling? Probably not. And so here, Box's leg is ripped off, and but you could see that like he's kind of like, no problem, Puck, and no pain. Having already given 2 good limbs to the cause, what's a third? Besides, even one leg gives me more mobility than I'd have in my wheelchair. So here's hopping at you, Hulk. And so Roger Box is becoming attuned to the robot. He's losing that fear of damage, etc. And his ability to take that kind of punishment and keep going is, of course, enraging the Hulk even more. You almost wonder, and Puck is saying it here, Box is being torn apart and laughing about it. Is he insane, or does he embody the spirit of the new Alpha Flight? And you like that because the creative team, this is the new Alpha Flight in many ways. But you also have to wonder a little bit, is he adjusting a little bit too much to this situation? So Northstar and Aurora go in. She uses her light power to sort of dazzle the Hulk. They join hands, which would give them extra powers, but it doesn't work. Your light, my speed, and our ability to fly are gone. Just as my speed vanished when I saved you from being crushed by Box earlier. It happened as soon as we touched. Jean-Marie, what have you done to us? It was Walter, an experiment. Yes, to make you two less dependent upon each other. So now, when they try to pool their powers, they lose them completely. Aha, something new has been added, and we get the patented Hulk clap, boom, that knocks them over. And here is a great shot. Let's get a little more close up on this one. There is Heather staring down the Incredible Hulk. She's just a human being. She has no powers. Heather, I think, really comes into her own as a character through this run on Alpha Flight. And but as she's facing down the Hulk, who flies in but Snowbird? Greetings, Heather. I received Shaman's psychic summons and came as swiftly as I was able. Try to lead him out of the city. This the creature you fight? Not one of the great beasts, else I would spy its hidden fires, and not Walter Lankowski given flesh and form again. No, this is a cursed creature, a man-made monster by his own misadventure. It will take a monster to fight a monster, and as a shapeshifter, I have had to assume a monster's form before. So, in Hulk Annual number 8, Hulk 272, he met Sasquatch. He notices here different color, but Hulk knows you. So now we're going to get a couple heavyweights going. Now, I don't know that Sasquatch was ever a match for the Hulk. I don't know if anybody was ever a match for the Hulk, but they go into combat. Mobile Command, Canadian Armed Forces, shows up, and we get all Hulk wanted was to go home to find peace. All Hulk got was attacked. That's not exactly true. Hulk has had enough. So he throws this piece of rubble at Sasquatch, and she's amazed. She's like, the Hulk overpowers one of the great beasts. No, I must remember that Tanarak was destroyed. Yet could a daughter of the gods be corrupted by too long assuming a great beast's shape? That's probably a little plot point for later on. You know, even if these things don't get followed up on, a good comic book writer is going to be adding little things, like little questions, that that can maybe become stories later on. It's smart stuff. So Hulk leaps away, and she pursues. And so as he leaps ever southward, he crosses the border between Canada and the United States. And of course, she has no power outside of Canada. So she stops the pursuit. And she flies back to look at the sort of remains, the wreckage of what's gone on It's over, North Star. We won. It might be hard to convince downtown Vancouver that this is a victory. Yeah, so anyways, it's a good point. Now we get a really long, huge word bubble, or 3 bubbles from Snowbird. Give up? Disband Alpha Flight? Never. Heather McNeil Hudson. On countless occasions has Alpha Flight fought on behalf of Canada, rarely with thanks and never with assistance. We did so at enormous cost, accepting the responsibility unquestioningly, because we Alphans alone possessed the extraordinary powers and abilities necessary to protect and preserve the land that bore us. When I left Alpha Flight, I did so because I thought that we had fulfilled our purpose, that the destruction of the great beasts and the defeat of Omega Flight meant that the land no longer required our services. I was wrong. Perhaps being the daughter of a goddess makes me prone to prophecy, but I now know that the land will always be subject to grave and unguessable perils. I mean, you would think Canada's not that far from like New York, which is attacked by supervillains on a daily basis. So you would think that, yes, they would absolutely know that. So she's rallying the troops. And as she does, a helicopter lands, bearing Gary Cody. For once the bearer of good news, Puck. Department H has been refunded without limits. Why, Gary? Department H, so called because that's where my late husband, James McDonald Hudson, developed Alpha Flight, was cut by the government. Governments change, Heather. The new administration wants to boost Canada's defenses. People with powers like those possessed by you, Alphans, are important to that effort. We'd have a free hand? Absolutely. No strings attached. You have my word. You see, as former liaison between Department H, Ottawa's put me in charge. And we all know you can always trust the government. So, well, what do you think? They say, what do you think Mac would say if we could keep Alpha Flight together? I think he'd say, yes. Oh, we. Come on, it's Canada, bilingual. It is unanimous. Alpha Flight will remain a team. More than a team, I think, Heather. They become what James always wanted them to be, a family. Yes, but Mac possessed the power to keep the Alpha Flight family together. If they follow me, it's because they honor his memory. Someday soon, my kids are going to question my place at the head of the table. And then what's the mighty matriarch to do? Well, some of us know what she's going to do. And in fact, she had already done it by the time I started collecting Alpha Flight, which was issue 35. So we're about, 6 issues away from the first Alpha Flight comic I ever bought off the shelves of a 7-Eleven. Yo, those many years ago. So how do you like it? Alpha Flight number 29, first issue from the Mantlo-Mignola team. I think it's pretty awesome. I think it shows a great deal of promise. I know there are people who really prefer the Byrne era and don't like what came afterwards. I know there are people who really prefer the Mantlo era and don't really care for what Byrne did. As I said before, I dig both of them. This is the Alpha that ultimately I became a fan of. And so obviously I have a very soft spot in my heart for it. And I'm really looking forward to bringing these comic books to you every week, every Monday, a new issue of Alpha Flight. We're going to take that all the way to number 52, which we should hit at the very end of this year. And then next year, I'll be doing the same thing with Justice League International. But what do you think? What do you think of Alpha Flight number 29? Love to hear it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like. Maybe think about subscribing, sharing with a friend. That really helps me out in this little endeavor I have on YouTube. I really appreciate it. I mean, what can I say? I just really appreciate it. It really helps. And the channel's growing, decent at the moment. There's always some weird lags on YouTube, but at the moment, things are going pretty good. So I'm in a good mood. And then things will go, badly for about a week, and I'll be despondent. The life of a YouTube creator. Anyhow, but I do appreciate you tuning in, especially if you've lasted this long. God bless you. And so until the next time, well, my usual spiel, God bless everyone. Please be kind to one another. Try to have a little bit of fun. I'll see you again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture.